We're messengers with friend of sinners. That's our Father. Very good morning to you if you've just tuned in. Happy Tuesday. It's day 2 of this week and I'm back with you on the morning drive for these 3 days. Now, exciting times I have to say, especially for me because I think I relate to Alec's discussions, especially today as well. First of all, I'm going to tell Alec why I am so drawn to what we're talking about today. But let me just say hi first. Hi, Alec, and welcome back.
Morning, Luca. It's great to be with you and the listeners again.
Lovely to touch base again with you. Now, Alec, this is so close to my heart because it's weight, it's health, it's everything health. And I have to tell you, you might not know, even the listeners might not know, but a couple of years, 2016 actually, I went on a weight loss journey. Accidentally, let me say. And I say accidentally because I was at a braai with some Christian friends. And there was this lady who is a hardcore trainer and she had introduced this concept to them. And I walked into the room and they were all sitting. It was her church group ladies. I wasn't from the church. And I got there and I was like, what are you guys talking about? It's like, no, losing weight and Mrs. Sosa is going to help us lose weight. And I was like, I'd love to join. Am I allowed? Because I could see it was church ladies. Yeah. And she said to me, yeah, you're allowed to join. It's like, okay, for the first time, I went on a weight loss journey. And that year, I lost about 20 kilograms.
That's awesome.
Actually, close to 30 if I think about it. And then I stopped and I fell off the wagon. But I've always just been conscious of little things. Typical example, I've never had bread since. I've never had sugar since.
Wonderful.
I haven't touched sugar since 2016. But then I realized last year, it looked like I was regaining the weight very slowly, but I was regaining it. And I went on a weight loss program again. And fell off the wagon again. And then but I've always told myself, no matter how many times I default, it's engraved in me that I will never be that 98 kilograms that I was in 2016. I'm always fighting never to go back there. And now my new target, by the way, I started at 84 about 2 months ago or so. 2 months. I started and I said I want to be a 60. So I'm still fighting for that 60. About a month ago, I was 72.
Well done.
So, hey, this is really close.
And now the listeners are going to hold you accountable.
Of course. My colleagues as well, they'll be like, you're losing weight now. And then there's Jose. Jose will always say, I can see you're defaulting now. You're falling off. So it's really close to my heart because I really desire to understand, for instance, what is it that makes me gain weight? What are BMIs? There's just a whole lot of things that I have questions on.
Yes.
And so touching base with you today is like, meeting up with my personal trainer or my dietitian, just, enlighten me on a whole lot of these things.
With pleasure.
Now, exactly what are we talking about today?
Well, today the topic is training for health improvement. There's like a continuum and people generally start at the wrong end of the scale. So we should focus on our health first, training for health, then add mobility into that so that you've got full range of motion, and then that will enable you to train for strength. And then once that base is there, you can start improving your performance, and ultimately it will have an impact on your physique. What happens in general, though, is people start training for performance improvement and for physique improvement.
People is me.
and that is it can be detrimental and counterproductive. And the majority of people out there are not really into trying to perform at sport or trying to look like a bikini model or a bodybuilder. So let's focus on what we need to do to improve our health. And then once that's there, the rest will follow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me give over to you today, Alec. Just we're talking, like you said, health, mobility, and. Now, I want to also understand something. We're going to explore training for health improvement to prolong our health span. Tell me more about that as well.
Well, the concept of health span is pretty straightforward. We all are almost definitely going to live a lot longer than we think we are. And it's your choice as to whether you want to live out your days healthy, fit, and capable and able, or whether you want to spend a protracted period in frail care and in sickness. So, you married to your body in sickness and in health, so it's your choice. And the idea today is to try and just give you a little bit more information so that you can actually make those decisions, because ultimately you live with the consequences of your decisions, and your health and wellness is a lagging measure of those decisions that you're making. So we'll get into that in a bit more detail. But you wanted to know about BMI.
Yes.
BMI is a pretty standard measure. It's called your body mass index, and they take your weight and divide it by your height, and there's an ideal number that you're supposed to be at. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not ideal, and a lot of people that are fit and healthy and capable actually will register as being overweight on BMI, because they, for example, let's just use an extreme example. Somebody that does a lot of bodybuilding, for example, they will be heavier on their BMI, but their body composition, their fat to muscle ratio will be excellent. So BMI can be misleading, but it's a great general way to see whether or not you are overweight. Another one is your height to waist ratio.
I was about to ask. I was like, height to waist ratio, is there a link somehow?
Yeah, so basically that to me is a more, from a health point of view, it's a more accurate indication of where you're at. It's the circumference of your waist must be less than half your height. And if that is right, then you are you're heading in the right direction. You are not overweight, and you're not carrying additional abdominal fat. So the fat around your organs and that is pretty much in line if your waist is the right diameter.
So say that before I ask you the next thing. So your waist ratio must be half
your height.
Half your height.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now, Alec, I've also heard about skinny fat, and that really doesn't make sense to me. Okay. Skinny fat. What does it really mean?
So I'm sure you've seen plenty of people that are, let me use an example, people that are older in age, but I mean, it goes for younger people too. But they come across as being frail and fragile, and they may not be overweight at all. So their BMI will be right, their height to waist ratio will be right, but their body composition isn't. So they have very little muscle mass, and too much fat. So you can be underweight and still have inadequate muscle. So the message that I want to bring across today is how important it is to focus on your body composition and not to get hung up on the weight on the scale. So when you train, and we talk there about cardio and strength training as the two requirements for health, you have an immediate benefit, but you're starting to improve your body composition ratio. So you are reducing your fat and increasing your muscle. And this is where it gets, where people that don't understand how it works get disillusioned, because in the process, fat weighs 1/4 of what muscle does. So although you're losing fat, you're gaining muscle, and the number on the scale could very well go up instead of coming down. So
as you are losing
weight. So you're losing fat, but you're gaining muscle, and you are improving your body composition over time. So you've got to stick with it and be consistent, because you will see it on the scale in time, but you've got to be consistent and persevere.
Then there's something called circular strength training and all these types of trainings. Like I was telling you early on, I have a friend that I train sometimes, and some people be like, "Are you doing strength training? Are you doing cardio?" And for me, really, I have no idea. For me, as long as I run and I do my sit-ups, 'cause I'm trying to target the stomach. And I really, can you just enlighten us a bit more on these?
Yeah, so I think if you're training for health, so the whole idea there is that you want to improve your strength and your mobility, and your cardiovascular fitness. So the cardiovascular fitness is doing things like walking, running, swimming, cycling, and that will improve your circulation and your general fitness, which is excellent. But from a health point of view, it's very important that you actually increase your muscle mass. And to do that, you need to firstly be eating adequate protein, and your training needs to be weight and related. So you need to do resistance training, and resistance training could be as simple as doing sit-ups.
Okay.
And then if that becomes too easy, you can hold weights while you do sit-ups, just as an example. So it's progressively overloading your body, and your body responds by improving and growing your muscle mass. And what most people don't realize is how vital your muscle mass is to your immune system. There's a direct correlation between muscle mass and immune system. So as you age, you progressively, naturally start to lose muscle unless you're proactively doing something about it. And once you've lost about 10%, and it starts at about the age of 40, that you start losing 1% a year. So by the time you're hitting 50, you've lost 10% of your muscle mass, and in the process you've compromised your immune system. And then it becomes more and more difficult for you to actually stay healthy. So, I want to bring home the message that your weight loss is managed by your nutrition. You don't go to the gym to lose weight. You don't train to lose weight. You fix your diet. You eat correctly. So you're cutting your sugars, you're cutting complex carbohydrates, you're increasing your proteins, you're increasing your vegetables, you're cutting out on vegetable oils, you're eating olive oil.
Wow.
So if you just make those small changes to your diet, remembering that your diet is is what you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat. So you start there, and then the training and the gains will come. So in your case, you did tremendously well losing the weight. And then you mentioned offline that once you started training and running, you saw tremendous benefits to your health. And that's the normal and natural progression. So we encourage at Almighty Warriors, you have your spiritual focus, which gives you your purpose and your direction in life, that you are here to love yourself so that you can love and be of service to others. And then as a result of that, you will be able to stick with your goals on nutrition and training. But you need to look at it holistically. You can't compartmentalize.
Yeah. You can't just now tell me, what are the minimum requirements? What are the minimum requirements in terms of like these exercises? Well, what are we doing?
Yeah, if we look at cardio, you're talking about 3 30-minute sessions a week as an absolute minimum for it to start having a beneficial impact on your health. And the same goes for weight training or resistance training, 3 30-minute sessions a week. So it's really not much that you need to do in order to have a positive impact on your health. You can, from there as a base, you will progress and find the time to and want to do more because of the benefits that you get from it. But that, in my opinion, would be the absolute minimum requirement for you to start seeing tremendous benefits to your health.
Well, I love that. I love also that you're not pushing for just exercise. Most people think, because I've been running, because I've been doing this, I'm not losing enough weight, whereas they're not making any changes on their diet, actually. And for me, I only started training after I had started eating healthy. Then I thought to myself, it would be of such benefit if I then brought in training as well into
Yeah.
it. And I literally then saw double of the hard work done.
Yes. So you've experienced it, and that's what we about, because we are uniquely created, and you need to experiment to find out what works best for you as an individual. So there's general things like cutting sugar, which works for everybody.
Yeah.
But then more specifically, it doesn't help. For example, if I'm trying to encourage you to swim and you're petrified of water,
Yeah.
that's not going to be a sustainable training routine for you. So you got to find something that you enjoy doing, and people try as a rule to make too big a deal out of it. It's really simple. Just go out and go for a walk. And then once you're used to walking, you can try and walk a bit faster, or you can carry something when you're walking. So the idea is the concept of progressively overloading and making things more difficult, and that applies to cardio and strength training. But the most important is to try and do. You were talking about circular training.
Yes.
That's an ideal type of training for improving your health. So there we're talking about training with things like sandbags and weight balls and kettlebells and sledgehammers and doing so. From a lady's point of view, it's joining a boot camp, or where you outdoors, you've got mutual accountability, you've got friends that you're training with, or CrossFit, functional training. So you're training that will benefit your general life and your daily activities, as opposed to going to the gym and just doing hundreds of bicep curls to try and build big arms. I mean, I'm knocking that. Anything is better than nothing. So just get started. But the flip side is that you should start training to improve your health. And I've mentioned it before, but they've tested it on 80-year-olds. 3 sessions of strength training a week for 30 minutes a shot over a 3-month period. They increased their muscle mass by 50% and their strength by 45%.
Wow.
At 80. So it's never too late to get started, and you'll reap the reward. So you need to own up to to live with the consequences of your decisions, and ultimately you should be thinking about decisions that will benefit you as a person individually, and then by default it will be a benefit to others. So
true.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Alec. As we close, anything else?
No, I think I'd just like to close off with a prayer and an encouragement. God, I know that I'm not perfect, but I'm thankful that you did not look at me differently because of my mistakes. Thank you for having compassion on me and being willing to help me learn and grow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now, before you get to the last thing, Alec, I just want to ask something. Sari says, hi there, people with a heavy bone structure. Does that also influence the kgs on the scale?
Yeah, heavy bone structure is a bit of an old wives' tale. Everything impacts the weight on the scale. What you need to be doing is trying to get on a scale that will actually show you your body composition. So that is your fat to muscle ratio, and use the BMI and use the height to waist ratio as indicative of whether or not you're in a healthy space, and to own where you're at and then work forward from there. But there's no really such a thing as having a
There's
heavy
no
bone
scientific
structure.
explanation for that.
We've all got a skeletal bone
Exactly.
mass, and we need to make sure that our body composition and our muscle mass relative to fat is adequate.
All right. Here's another. Nomi says, I love that. Have a client who worries about her scale, but I told her she's gaining lean muscle and should continue being consistent. So, yeah. Thank you, Nomi.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's actually
Good.
something you shared with me earlier, and I want you to share it with the listeners. Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes please.
Okay, so we were having a chat offline about an article that I read about the theory and the science of stupidity, and basically what it boils down to is that you need to have a look and ask yourselves questions: is this beneficial to me and my health? Is it beneficial to others? Or is it harmful to myself, detrimental in other words? And is it harmful to others? And the definition, the loosely definition of stupidity, is doing something that is purposefully harmful to yourself and harmful to others. So if we evaluate our health and our nutrition and our habits and our eating and smoking and drinking in that light, we need to then say, are we willingly being stupid or are we being intelligent? And the definition of intelligence is doing acts that are beneficial to yourself and beneficial to others at the same time. And that comes back to what we're saying is love yourself so that you can love and serve others, and show Jesus to the world, bring heaven to earth, and let his kingdom grow, and celebrate your body as the magnificent vehicle that it is that the Lord has given you to live out this life on earth.
Alec, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. I really, really appreciate also the lessons that I've learned today as well.
Congratulations on your successes to date, and we're going to keep you to it.
Okay, great.
Well done.
This is DJ Smoo, and I'm back on the Islands. Now, guys, as I said, we are talking about your ex. Where does your ex belong? Let me give you an advice, né? Your ex belongs in one place. On the 1st of November,